Welcome to Screen Recaps, and today we are going to be recapping the first 2 episodes of Omniscient. We're introduced to our protagonist, Nina. As she gets into an elevator at work, we learn that only 4 homicides have been recorded in 5 years, and through this nanotechnology, their constant surveillance has resulted in a much safer world. Nina happens to be a trainee at a tech company, and she's called into a meeting with the safety supervisor where it's revealed she's a prolific programmer. She tries to ring Ignacio, but fails to get through, leading her straight to voicemail. When she returns home, she finds her father lying face down on the floor in a puddle of his own blood. As the police arrive, they begin investigating the case, asking questions about a possible suicide, which Nina takes offense to given he was shot in the back. She questions whether the system has failed, and later on the mayor's PA, Judith, reassures her that she'll do her best to find her father's killer and encourages Nina to visit her office whenever she wants. That evening, Nina talks with her brother Danny around just why the drones didn't appropriately sound alarms for her father's murder. After a restless night, she heads back to work where she meets Carolina, one of the 4 founders who created Omniscient. Nina asks her to access the footage of her father's drone, but she refuses, given it's a violation of their laws, and the main computer is the only place these are stored. In a fit of rage, the drone records Nina throwing a statue on the floor, committing a level 2 crime, and gives her 27 minutes to appear before court. When she turns up, Nina's told she needs to pay $12,000 in a week, otherwise she'll face jail time. To make matters worse, her father's body is being hidden from her, and she's unable to see him. Something's definitely not right here. With nowhere else to turn, Judith encourages Nina to follow her, and together they wind up in a place where the drones can't follow, on the outskirts of the city. Without the drones buzzing around them, the pair talk about what Nina did and the scandal hanging over the company. Judith goes on to tell her the system isn't perfect. It's enough for Nina to question how to break into the main computer and figure out the truth. The first thing she needs is a stolen fingerprint from one of the creators. As she heads back to the city, the drone buzzes around her, but this time it's much more prevalent and obvious to her. As she weeps in her room and it stares at her. Snapping, Nina decides to put her plan into motion and attempts to steal a pen belonging to one of the founders at work, as the drone zooms in on her and tries to map her behavior. Nina manages to outsmart the drone and uses her wits to get the fingerprint. No system is perfect, and as Nina begins to learn, the drones can be outsmarted, which is where we leave the episode. Episode 2 of Omniscient begins with Nina starting her training at the company as she's shown the drones being made. After asking probing questions surrounding their origin, what happens when they break, she also learns more about the circuit boards too. Nina returns to work and sets to work making a 3D copy of the fingerprint she took last episode. With this and the schematics of the building, Nina slips away and heads up to the roof where she manages to cause an electromagnetic disturbance with the drone, making it short-circuit and giving herself precious time alone, that time being a grand total of 4 minutes. She hurries downstairs and uses her phone to slip past the other drones. Breathing heavily, she uses the fingerprint and manages to get inside the restricted area while the replacement drone silently hovers ever nearer. Nina finds the circuit board but thinks twice about destroying anything, instead heading out the room to Ricardo and reporting into him at his office. He tells her to go home and take some leave of absence, especially given she's been pretty distracted at work following her father's death. At home, she attempts to access her father's account, but it's unfortunately been frozen by court order. Judith agrees to try and help, tracking down information on a man named Jota that may be in connection, while Danny heads out of the city and enjoys his time away from the drone. There he talks to a man who seems to know a contact that can slip inside the city without a drone watching over them. As he's taken through some back alleys, he arrives in front of a man named Jira. Unfortunately, Danny's curiosity lands him in a spot of bother, as they believe him to be a cop. Instead, he spills the truth about his father, and eventually goes on to tell them his sister can help. Ricardo drives his son home and talks to him about bullying, while Nina confronts Jota and asks him outright if he killed her father. He seems to be genuinely surprised at the accusation, though, and inside, they share a drink together where we learn her father helped Jota out. sending him money and helping him live in the city. Daniel phones his sister and requests her help outside the city, which leads her straight into the path of Jira. Although she manages to program the armored car for the group, she also sets off the alarm too, sending her sprawling with Danny through the back alleys and back to safety in the city again. Once there, she meets Vinicius, and this time, the two hit it off and begin kissing in his room.
I thought I was doing